Ian, it's Michael and Don. How are you today?
Hey, guys. How are you?
Good. Anybody that was expecting Derek to, open up that closed door and let you in today, I think they were going to be probably disappointed. So what did you think Derek's performance today was like?
I thought it was classic Jeter, Michael. I mean, that's what I expected. He really didn't give you any insight or any clear answers beyond the Facebook post. And so what are you left with? He's a guy who today said that it had nothing to do with the injuries. The decision had nothing to do with Mariano's farewell tour and having another one like that he can enjoy. It had really nothing to do with anything that he would identify. It was kind of hard to run. He ran out of reasons. So when asked why, I mean, he just said it was time to start a family, time to sort of open the second phase of his business and philanthropic life. But it was confusing because he said that the rehab sessions wore on, and that made it more of a job, and that wasn't fun, going to rehab. And it didn't feel like he was going to the ballpark. He was going to a job. But then at the same time, he was saying the injuries had nothing to do with this decision. So I thought he was all over the map. It was probably by design. To me, at the end of the day, there's a couple of things in play. He wanted to control the arc of his career, the end game of his career, just like he's always wanted to control the message about him anyway. And I think at its core, that's what this decision was about.
But the thing that confuses me is not the decision, but that he announced it before the season. Because you could see during the course of that media availability, as he likes to put it, that he's uncomfortable. He doesn't understand why this has to be. He's all about baseball. Well, get ready, Derek. This is going to be what the season's going to be about. That's why I was surprised he did it at the beginning of the season. Why do you think that he was motivated to do that?
And, Don, you weren't alone. I asked Brian Cashman that question. He said no one saw this coming. Obviously, Steinbrenner, who got the phone call, the heads up early. But he was surprised, Cashman said, by the timing as well, because what if Jeter is hitting .315 in July? Is he going to want to play again? He did not give himself a chance to come back from the injuries and prove this season that he is back at that 2012 level or something close to that. So that part of it really surprised Cashman. I imagine you and a lot of people as well. You know, I think Derek Jeter, Don, is the most fearless athlete I've ever covered. But I think he was afraid of the unknown of the season, and that if he was hitting .242 and he only played, say, 54, 55 games because of injury, that at the end of the season, all of a sudden the Yankees really would have control of his end game because the contract is up. They might not want to offer another contract. They might push him into retirement. They might say, well, we'll bring you back, but only as a utility guy or as a left fielder or as a backup baseman. So I think the fear of the unknown of the 2014 season is really, at the end of the day, what influenced the most fearless athlete that I've ever been around.
Well, I would agree. I think this way he controls the narrative, because if he hits .320, people will be begging him to play, and then he can make that decision. If he hits .220 and he retires, which he says he's going to do, nobody could say that he got forced out. And usually every athlete's career ends poorly. Mo and Pettit did not, but his buddy Posada did not want to retire. Bernie Williams did not want to retire, and they were kind of forced out. This way, Derek controls the narrative.
Not only that, I wanted to add, Michael, that the position, and I wrote about this in my column, which should be posted pretty soon here on ESPNNewYork.com. The position, to me, shortstop, finishing as a shortstop, I think is a lot more important to him than he's let on publicly. If you look at his career, going back to his minor league days, where people in the front office were thinking of switching him to center field, Derek Jeter in the 56-error season in Greensboro told one of his best friends, R.D. Long, a teammate, I will never let them change my position. I am never leaving this position, ever. He said that in 1993. If you look at some of the things he survived over the years, Ron Washington was a coach with the Mets. He said, I wrote him up as a third baseman in the minor leagues. I thought he had no chance to be a shortstop. Tim Cullen, who was an executive with Greensboro, told Gene Michael, this is the worst shortstop prospect I've ever seen. And, you know, Gene Michael went there, he saw some things that needed to be adjusted. And, of course, less than 2 years later, Jeter's in the majors. But just think of all the challenges to his throwing years, going back to Ray Ordonez, for goodness sake, and A-Rod and Nomar and Tejada, and all these guys fell by the wayside. And Derek Jeter held off all comers to that position. A-Rod coming on the team in 2004. He's the one who had to play third. So I think that had a lot more to do with this than he's willing to let on for public consumption.
Ian, do you have him bigger than Mo because he played more games?
Yeah, I put him fifth. I wrote a column about this the other day, Don, where I think he's the fifth greatest Yankee of all time. He slightly edged Mo for that reason. He's played in almost 1,500 more games than Mo has. And it's really close, but it's like comparing Adam Vinatieri to Tom Brady a little bit. With Yogi, Yogi and Jeter, if you look at it, boy, that's a close one, and I give Jeter the slight nod over Yogi. What's amazing about his career is he never once struck out 40 times in a single season. In 1950, in 597 at-bats, he struck out 12 times. And Derek Jeter struck out more than 100 times in 9 different. So if you're a Yogi person and you're in his camp with the 3 MVPs that Jeter's none and the strikeout ratio, you could certainly make a case that Yogi deserves to be in there ahead of Derek. But I would put Jeter at 5, and then Mo and Yogi right after that with Whitey as well.